What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be burning a lot of bridges. What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be talking about stuff I shouldn't. What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to be talking about some of the insider stuff that I've noticed when it comes to board game coverage, especially here on YouTube and around Kickstarters. As always, I'd like to start out by thanking my awesome and wonderful patrons and YouTube members. Without your guys' support, this channel would not be possible. So thank you for funding this initiative when it comes to honest coverage. I'm going to be talking about a lot of dirty stuff here in a moment, and I just wanted to say thank you for making it to where I don't have to do any of that. Additionally, if you're down there just commenting, telling me how I'm doing, or liking or subscribing, sharing, following the merch link, pausing that ad blocker, all that stuff. Seriously, it's huge and it means a lot to me. Thank you. Whether it's moral support, whether it's financial support, doesn't matter. You guys make this channel and make this community and make this honest effort at just trying to tell it how it is, at least how I see it. Alright, so that leads us perfectly into today's video. I'm going to preface everything that, first of all, this is unscripted, okay? Second of all, don't sue me. Third of all, I'm not going to be naming influencer names. And by the way, I'm using the term influencer. It kind of sounds weird. I just mean somebody that somebody watches for an opinion, whether it's a review or a preview or anything like that. If they have a YouTube channel or anything like that and they're saying their opinion, then I'm counting them as an influencer. I'm not here to name names. You guys can figure it out if you want to. I'll be talking about some examples, but I'm not here to throw shade anywhere about how somebody runs their channel. I have no problem though talking about companies. Now, I'm distinguishing between those two just in this video. In general, a lot of these influencers are actually just a business, a company, and deserve my full wrath, just like any of the other companies. But I don't want to get the message buried in the mud. So I'm going to leave the mud out of it and just focus on the message for now. I hope that makes sense. Hope you understand. And again, you're probably 5 minutes research away from figuring out any names that you want to know anyway. Now, why am I talking about this and why am I talking about it now? I actually made a Patreon post a long time ago, really discussing this because I'd gotten some rather bothersome emails, some business propositions from board game companies that were just asking me to be dishonest and were willing to pay me for it. And I was just flabbergasted that that can run amok in any kind of industry that's over $1 billion. And last I checked, I believe the board game industry is. I mean, it's a big business. There's a lot of money in board games right now. It's all the rage, as those kids say. And so, I'm relatively new to the board game kind of industry as a whole, only a couple years. And before that, I was very, very much, I still am very much into video games. And when it comes to video game journalism and media coverage and all that, there's a huge push on all sorts of... If your cousin's dog sitter's second boyfriend that she still sees sometime made a game and you're reviewing it, you have to disclose that. I mean, the video game industry, when it comes to keeping people on point, is so on top of it that I was surprised to see none of that here in the board game industry, really. Companies make deals all the time. They'll pay you for your opinion, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of that right now. But just suffice it to say, it's a lot. Now, I'm going to actually start out in kind of a side tangent, but I'll tie it in. So, right here, I'm looking at the Golden Bill Studios starting their own version of Kickstarter. And I think this is important just to show you the kinds of companies that are out there that you might not be aware of. So, if you haven't heard of Golden Bell Studios, consider yourself lucky. That means you're probably not one of the several lawsuits that are going against them. They've been banned from BGG. They've been kicked from Kickstarter. They're not allowed to operate as a company there because they don't deliver their stuff. And so they made their own called the Growing Tree House, which just sounds so nice and fluffy and awesome. And they have essentially Kickstarters, right? It's a Kickstarter kind of copycat in a way where it tells you kind of about the company and where they're from. Now, nowhere here does it say that they've been banned and that all their outstanding stuff and all that. It doesn't show. The only thing I really wanted to point out here is just the fact that companies just want your money. That's what they want. There's the indie guys that are just trying to make a game and love what they do. There's the guys that are just trying to make a game, love what they do, and would love to make some money on the side. And then there's dudes in suits that want money. So there's a wide range, and it's hard to judge sometimes from us. So typically you can kind of get that indie feel from a few of them, but not always. Some of them are quite good at it. Anyway, with this one, like I just noticed this. Here's some lost crap, a plushie and stuff that's too expensive. But look at this. Continuous campaign, no end date. Now this is kind of what I'm talking about, where they just want money. So if it's IP related, like Lost, you have a contract on how long you have that IP, how long you can sell items under that IP. And I guarantee there is an end date on there. So to say that you're going to offer this with no end date, when you know fully well that as an IP you have to have a contract on how long you can operate within that IP as a business, that's just kind of disingenuous. So this is small time. Look, the three backers raised $350 because people were paying like $500 for some lost. I don't know what's going on there. Nobody cares except three people. This is just kind of, first of all, it was an excuse to cover Golden Bell. I hadn't done that yet, surprisingly, on this channel. And then second of all, just to show kind of the manipulative ways companies are doing it, even if it's being kicked off Kickstarter and starting their own version of Kickstarter just so that they can continue to steal money from people. I mean, try and sell things. Okay, so now I have the email that kicked off the Patreon video. And by the way, I want to be talking about specific stuff to me, and then I'm going to be talking about YouTube in general. So we'll get to that. And this is from GGM Board Games. They have a Facebook and a Twitter that hardly anybody cares about, and hopefully they continue to not care too much about here. Say, hello, we are founders of the GG Board Games and have made a game called God's Land. You can see our game in this link, and then give me a nice little link. We are interested in ads on your YouTube channel. We will send you videos of our game from above so that it won't be visible who is playing, and you to put a voice on it. What are your preferences and different options? Please let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you, whatever his name is. So here's... They're literally saying, I want to send you a video where you can't tell who's playing, and then I want you to voice over it pretending that you're playing it or talking about it in some way as if you did. Or it just... I couldn't... When I got this email, I couldn't believe it. They're essentially just like, hey... What are your pricing options for lying to your viewers? Needless to say, I didn't take him up on the offer. In fact, I never responded, as you can see. No, I'm not interested in any of that. So here's the game, by the way, God's Land. You can take a look at it. It looks, I mean, the minis, in my opinion, look very generic, and it looks like a huge waste of a board. It's just, everything's so big there. It's ridiculous. But whatever. That's... Not cool. You don't need to be sending me any video of other people playing the game that you want me to voice over. Period. One of the reasons I do this format, I know it's not optimal for everything, is because it prevents even the script writing from happening. This is just me, and that's what you're getting, and you're getting my live reactions and all that kind of stuff. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. There's two bad there and one good, but you get my point. All right, now here's another one. This is what caused this video now, is I got this one. I thought this one was good. So this is from Mangda and Armpa and Kickstarter. 100% funded in 6 hours, ready to play world's first 3D wooden assembly tabletop game. Now, what bothers me here is, like, some of this, it looks legit. It's just the companies are sleazy. And so they're like, you know, hey, we would love to, like, get with you. I'm the designer Lith from Team Mangda. You can't see any of this on the Kickstarter, by the way. Who knows who this guy is? And he says here that our funds are gradually improving. They are inseparable from the efforts of YouTubers, creatos like you. Good English. Someone has got 1,000 USD commission in our cooperation. So at this moment, we send you an invitation again to lead us to a new level. Now, again, they used a regular URL instead of tracking the clicks in the URL, yet they're wanting me to use a tracked URL so that they can pay me commission every time I tell you guys to back it so I can make money off of it. Needless to say, again, I'm not doing that. And in fact, I doubt this is the coverage that they were hoping for, but they didn't have to pay for it. I offer it free of charge. So here is the Kickstarter on poll, and it's at 74,000. They're actually doing fairly good. And honestly, I can't blame it. It looks interesting. It's not something I would do. My kids always get, like, especially my son, he gets like these like Lego robotic things that take like 5 hours to build, and they never end up getting built because he wants to do it with me and I make excuses not to. No, neither of us just sit down and actually do it. And so sitting down and building this, people don't even like to build minis. I don't know about that. Anyway, it looks like they're based in Hong Kong. Not surprised there. First created. So here's Mongda, though you don't hear anything about them. All the people down here that they're listing, I don't know any of the people here. They're not. None of them is a person that emailed me anyway. So I don't know who's gotten 1,000. Who here do you think has gotten paid? Was it Bauer's Game Corner? I'm not naming names because I don't know who. I'm not saying who. I'm just saying, like, this is the conundrum that I'm faced with, so now you're faced with. We know one of these people, at least, is getting commission to sell you this. To say, this is good, go buy it because I want money. Whether or not they're being honest about it or not, I don't know. And it could be whatever the heck this stuff is I can't even read. I don't know. But I recognize several. I recognize Game Boy Geek. I recognize Everything Board Games. Now, I don't know if they know that this is going on. I pray that they did not receive the same email that I did and then actually contacted them. But we'll talk about some of these. Okay, so another interesting thing, and this is, you can do this kind of research too, right? So let's go ahead and click on Mongda here, and you're going to see that they're promoted by Jellup, which is a company you can pay to kind of promote your stuff and kind of tell you how to run it. Backer Club, crossprom.com, cross promotion. Let's go ahead and do Kick Booster. What's Kick Booster? That sounds cool. Well, here's Kick Booster. And it looks like all the other ones are kind of similar too. Affiliate marketing for crowdfunding. The most effective way to reach your funding goal is to pay people to advertise your thing and say that it's good and people should get it so that they can get money. This is how a lot of companies operate. This is how a lot of Kickstarters work. Now, I don't know if I'm preaching to the choir per se. I don't know if you've researched it to this level or not, but there are tons of companies out here, right? Here's Kick Booster, but I'm sure crossprom.com is probably the same thing. And who knows what Backer Club is doing or even Jellup and what they offer, but there's all these different companies that they're partnering with to kind of seed paid for links, essentially, where people are wanting you to click the link and wanting you to back it so that they get money, which just breeds dishonesty inherently. That's not even, it's a non-argument. If you're doing that, you're dishonest about it. And unless you're saying, hey, I don't care if you back this or not, but if you do, I get paid for it, so thank you for clicking. If you do that, well, then, maybe we could talk. Maybe. At that point, it's at least a discussion. Now, there's a lot of companies that do that. So here is some of the other ones I've gotten. It amazes me. So I don't know if you know who Jim Sterling is. He does video game coverage. He's a lot more eccentric than I am. And a lot more angry than I am too, I think, believe it or not. I'm not even sure he enjoys the the industry he talks about anymore. I at least love board games. But people contact him, asking to, buy his opinion. And his whole stance is that he doesn't do that he's honest and that he just says whatever it is he feels like saying. And, I kind of get this as well here a lot too, where I'm not super well known like Jim Sterling is, but, every one of my videos talks about honest work, and every one of my videos I tend to burn a bridge somewhere, right? I just kind of say my own opinion, and it's very much important to me that what you hear is my honest opinion, unadulterated by monetary gain. And so when people email me saying, hey, send us a price quote, or hey, I'm curious about your pricing on doing a Kickstarter preview for my tabletop party game, or hey, would you be willing to review and evaluate the game? What would be the cost? The moment that this industry supports, that these companies aren't called out and acknowledged that they want to review, not even preview, they're not even flipping the letter to make you think something else, an honest review, and they want to pay for it. It blows my mind that that's a thing. Here is a video game example. I don't know if you know who Jeff Gertzman is. He's over at Giant Bomb now. He used to be over at GameSpot. And GameSpot would get a lot of... Well, you know what? I'll actually read it here. Gertzman was dismissed from his position at GameSpot as editorial director on November 28, 2007. Immediately after his termination, rumors circulated proclaiming his dismissal was a result of external pressure from Eidos Interactive, it's a publisher, the publisher of Kane and Lynch Deadman, which Gertzman had previously given a fair rating, which is relatively undesirable, along with critique. This was at a time when Eidos had been putting heavily advertising money into GameSpot, transforming the entire website to use Kane and Lynch's theme and background instead of the regular GameSpot layout. In accordance with California state law, they said they couldn't talk about it, but then later on, both GameSpot and Paragon and CNET stated that his dismissal was unrelated to the negative review. However, a subsequent interview with Gertzman in 2012 countered this statement, with Gertzman claiming that management gave in to publisher pressure. It goes on in some detail. But essentially, this is... this was a big thing in video games, and maybe this has to happen here. I don't know. I don't know who's getting fired from the Dice Tower. but my point here is, the moment, fundamentally, if you want to ever give your opinion on something and have it count, if you don't want it to be a waste of dead air, you cannot take money from the industry that you're critiquing. So, for instance, if I wanted to get money, right, I would, do stuff that I don't review. For instance, I review board games. Therefore, no board game company can give me money. I will not accept it. I can't accept it. That would just be disingenuous. Even if I told you I'm taking money. So it's understood, and it kills your character and kills your voice. This is why you see so many Skillshare sponsorships, so Squarespace, or, NordVPN, or all these other stuff, those glasses you can see a computer better with because it blocks blue light and all that kind of stuff. All of that is not what the person's reviewing, and therefore it's safe to receive money in. So if a jerky company wants to sponsor me, I might work just for jerky. I don't know if I'd accept money, but it'd be okay to accept money from jerky, but not money from... Come on, for instance, right? It just doesn't work that way. The problem is that not everything is in dollars. So, Armpole might be saying, hey, we'll give you $1,000 in commission, USD. But there's more to it than that. Okay, so really there's a few things that you need to be on the lookout for, because there's a lot of different business benefits as I kind of categorize them. Some of those are early reviews. If you get an early copy of something, then you inherently have an advantage over people who don't, right? And while I don't believe that our videos, especially here on YouTube, are inherently a zero-sum game, meaning that my view means you don't get one, to a point it is. And what I mean by that is people aren't going to watch 7 people unbox the same game. Reviews, I think, are a little bit more open. I think people might watch multiple reviews. But that's not necessarily the case either. They might just watch the reviews that are on the Kickstarter page and then back it and then not care because they've already backed the game. They don't need to watch another review afterwards. So the person who got the early copy of the review item has a business advantage over the person that had to wait until they got it with everybody else, because other people have already seen the review, already backed it, and especially if it's not going to retail, then you're pretty much just wasting your time almost. Now, there are exceptions, of course. For instance, there are, and again, I keep talking video games because I do that a lot, but there are reviewers like Angry Joe that doesn't get a lot of early copies and also is very late to review because he reviews the whole game and then does these skits and stuff like that. But people will wait on that review, even though it's after the fact, just because that they know that he's fairly honest and puts actual effort into it. But my point here is that there's a lot. Giveaways. If a channel or a person is doing a lot of giveaways, that's part of their business model. Part of their business model is getting people to watch and back and like and view those ads and all that kind of stuff for giveaways. Now, I've done a giveaway. It wasn't one of my games, but I sponsored the Oathsworn giveaway. I do early reviews. Does that mean I'm dishonest? Well, that's up for you to decide, and that's kind of my point. You just have to go in with kind of a mindset for it, and you have to kind of make a judgment call. And typically, I think the severity of it matters too. So for instance, if somebody's doing an early review, and they give nothing but positives, that the game is perfect, apparently they have 0 issues with it, it's a fantastic, perfect game, God, the designer, made this game and gifted it to his people, us. That is the game. Then you can assume that that's probably not a channel to trust. For instance, I've seen a Zombicide Invader review that was months before anybody else. It was just a base game, of course, but they obviously got it early because it wasn't available to buy. So Come On sent them this early copy, and they got way more views on their video because guess what? They're first, and being first matters. So they did this whole thing, and they said 0 negatives about the game. None. Zombicide Invader, the perfect game. You're welcome. Get Zombicide Invader, throw out all the rest of your games. They're not any good. They're all trash. That's the perfect game. Or maybe they're just trying to play ball. Because the more in bed you are with the companies, the harder it is. So, again, in video games, a lot of times they won't send anybody a review copy. Instead, they'll host a review thing. So they'll fly you out to a convention center and they'll rent all these, consoles or whatever, and you'll have a designer sitting right next to you as you play the game, and you can review and you can ask them questions. They can talk you through things. And then afterwards, there's a nice cocktail party, and then after that, you go on like a little vacation to Disney World. I don't know. My point is that they kind of schmooze the reviewer up. Even though there was no money provided, they certainly gave you a good time, and controlled how you reviewed it as well. Stuff like that, you just have to be paying attention to. So, giveaways, right? It depends on if you think that the giveaway is fundamental to the channel, that they are using the giveaway as a means to further their business, especially if you think that it affects any kind of opinion provided. So, I did not take preview copies originally. In fact, I declined quite a few. And honestly, I'm kind of glad because I wasn't a very good reviewer at the time. I still don't think I am, but I try. And part of it is just that I missed out on giving you guys my opinion. Because here's the thing. I didn't want to because, again, I didn't even want to give the illusion. Now, I don't give 2 rat butts about what the company likes or doesn't like. And if they don't want to ever give me a game again, that's fine. Okay? There are some games that I've gotten for free that I've trashed. That have cost the company money. And then there are ones that I've done early that I absolutely loved and probably helped the company. If I was to give 2 examples, Oathsworn, I got the preview. Obviously, you guys saw me when I was on the Kickstarter. I loved it. Still do. And Dawn of Madness, which I didn't like. I thought it was not put together all the way and that it needed a lot more time in the oven. Got them both for free, trashed one, praised the other, and maybe it's because I like one company more than... No, that's not the case. But you have to make that judgment, right, based off kind of what they do. But if you're constantly doing that over and over again and getting emails like, hey, how much does it cost to get you to review? At some point you become an ad agency. And I think that's what a lot of these reviewers are. A lot of the influencers on YouTube are not people. They are a third-party ad agency that the board game companies use to make content. Now, I'm not talking about honest previews here. And in fact, I'll go ahead and mention them because I actually like their stuff. So Man vs. Meeple does a lot of previews. What that means is they're essentially telling you like how the game plays and an overview and stuff like that. A lot of these board game companies on Kickstarter are only a couple people. They don't have the experience in video editing. They don't have all the equipment. So they can't produce all that stuff. So they have to pay some company to make their ad reel, essentially. They do it for the little campaign thing. When you click on Kickstarter and click play, and you see all that, it's like, well, they paid a company to do that. Well, they might pay Man vs. Meeple to do a preview as well. I think that's actually fine and actually kind of helpful. They do a lot with like Geek and Sundry, I think, too, or whatever that channel is. They do a lot of those kind of paid-for preview stuff as well. So I'm not against that. It's when you start doing your opinion, the moment you do any of that, you cannot give your opinion. No, or at least, I mean, I guess you can, but I don't care about your opinion because it doesn't matter. So you just have to play it by ear, right? You kind of have to decide if you're doing tons of giveaways, how would it be that if you just dogged on a company, enough companies that you didn't do it? And if you're covering 200 plus games and you love them all, either you're a liar or you're not a good reviewer anyway, because you just like everything. Like, how is that helpful? So you kind of have to judge how many that they like versus what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. It just, I guess it's really, really bothersome when I see an early review with all positives, like that Zombicide Invader one. It really bums me out when I see that. Just because I then look at their subscriber count and I see all the people that are subscribed to hear what you have to say and you're busy lying to your customers. It sucks. Or I guess they're your customers now. Another thing is sponsored portions. So for instance, there are a lot of people out there that will, have a sponsor for a Kickstarter game or whatever, and then be talking about stuff. And it's like, well, I don't know in this whole video what's sponsored and what's not. Who paid to be here and who are you honestly covering? And are you just throwing everything out there? And you could lead me to a scam from Golden Bell Studios? Or are you kind of picking and choosing who and what you cover so that you don't lead me to something bad? Because I guarantee there's probably, I didn't look into this, but there's probably a lot of YouTubers that listed a whole lot of Golden Bell Studio stuff, and didn't look into the lawsuit stuff and all that. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you're following somebody that you can trust. Now, I'm going to end on this because I think this is kind of a doozy. You cannot fight corporate money. Company money wins. I did a paid review. You can find it probably somewhere on my channel. It was for a card game. I don't normally do card games. And they were like, what's my price? And this was early on. Like, I wasn't actively doing reviews at the time. Certainly not card game reviews. So I was like, I'll do it and I'll take the money, but I won't submit my review and I'll be honest or whatever. And I said a lot of negatives in it too. But, it was actually a decent card game. I don't even remember the name of it. But they're like, well, list your price. Now, at this point, I wasn't even monetized on YouTube because of the whole, fiasco with the, Suicide Forest and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. They had to clamp down and he needed so many subscribers and whatnot. This was very early. So I listed a price, and even once I got monetized, it was triple the amount that I got from Patreon plus YouTube. Now, obviously, my Patreon's grown, my YouTube's grown. And so this is no longer the case, but at the time it was triple for a tiny YouTube channel my size. And so I can only imagine what I could ask for now. And I guess my point, because I don't pursue this, I don't pretend to, I don't respond saying, here's my price. I either ignore it and do it for free, or I just don't bother and don't reply. But that company money is sweet, sweet money. Like, that is more money than we can do because we're just people, right? We're not a company making an advertisement. And so I can understand that. But I guess what I'm saying is if the YouTube doesn't match it and you have 9 people on your staff as a channel and you're actually doing this as your job, you can't do it without a severe push from supporters, like paying supporters, like YouTube, like members and Patreon, because ads aren't going to do it. Ads are just part of it. Or you got to work by taking company money and then giving your review on it based off of the money that they're paying you. And so I guess I just want to end it with that, just so that you know why it's done. I'm only one guy, and I don't get paid for this. If I had to pay somebody for it, it would have to come out of Patreon, it would have to come out of YouTube, or my own money. That's where that's where it comes from. And that's not the revenue generation that you need to have a large channel with somebody filming and somebody editing and 2 or 3 people on, a camera at once and all that kind of stuff. Unless you are actually big enough to and you do other stuff. So you can do Kickstarter campaigns, you can do cons, you can do all this stuff. Now, what I've noticed is that at least some of these that are doing these Kickstarters and cons are also taking the company money, and they're just like double dipping and triple dipping and trying just to get money from everybody and hoping, I guess, nobody's the wiser. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to, I try to keep my cool here. So I'm trying to process what I want to say because I want to say it correctly. You guys need to be careful about the people that are out there that are willing to tell you a game is good and tell you that the game is awesome and tell you all the wonderful things about a game and then cashing in a check from that company. I've been amazed at how often they will not click that sponsored button. How often they will not say, I get paid for affiliate links. Because I use these bit.ly links, but I don't get paid for them. I just curious about stats and curious about what you guys are into. I always am. But another Bitly might be one that they're tracking, and then the other person manages it, or they show them how many clicks they got and they get paid off of it. So you always gotta kind of be cautious about that. So just keep an eye out. If you see somebody doing a bunch of giveaways, if you see somebody doing a lot of sponsored stuff about from the same exact kind of companies they're supposedly critiquing or giving awards to, or having top lists or anything like that, like the fact that these companies pay these people for a review that say, I want you to review how much it will cost you to give your opinion, blows me away. That's a thing, that the company is okay with that disingenuous action, and that the person doing it is fine being disingenuous as well. If you're taking money from it, you're not unobjective. You're not unbiased. Now, I'm biased, but I'm biased to my own taste, not my own pocketbook. It's not my own wallet, not my own bank account. Which I think there's a difference there. One is me. One is a nice new car, or I don't know, even if you're just paying rent, it doesn't matter. It just, I don't know. It frustrates me beyond belief when I get these emails. Hopefully this video has made it to where these companies stop emailing me asking me how much my reviews cost, or how much they need to pay me to tell you guys about stuff. Because part of it's insulting, because it means they haven't done the research. So part of it's just like, you should actually research who it is you're talking to. I could, what if I was just spouting all kinds of crazy political crap on here, and I was the hugest racist ever, and you still want to pay me to review your thing? Do some research about who you're talking to, and don't ask what my price is, because I almost joked, said you couldn't afford it, but they couldn't afford it because it doesn't exist. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know kind of what's going on, kind of the business stuff, and again, it's not inherently bad. I guess I got on a tangent. The preview copies. I do preview copies, and I didn't at first, but I do now, and that's because after thinking about it a long time, first of all, again, I don't care, but second of all, getting my opinion out, my honest opinion of an actual game where a company's asking for your money is huge. Why would I pass it up? Why would I be like, hey, I might point you to something and it might be terrible. I don't know until I play it. So if I can play it and then give you that honest opinion, that's super helpful, whether you agree with me or not. Whether you're like, that dude's full of crap, that sounded awesome, I'm going to back it. Or, wow, man, I'm glad you pointed that out, I guess I'm not backing it. Whether it saves you money or costs you money, I don't even care. The point is that I can give that opinion to you guys at the time that they're asking for money, not when it's too late. And that's a huge thing. Okay, anyway, this has gone on too long already. I apologize for it being so long, but there's a lot to unpack here. I could keep talking about this and keep talking about examples, but really just focus on whether or not they have sponsors within the game industry. If they are sponsored by game developers and they're giving reviews, don't trust them. I wouldn't. If you want to, you can, but I don't. My opinion, I think that's awful foolish of you, because their livelihood is based off of continuing to get business benefits from that company and money from that company. Additionally, if they give a whole bunch of giveaways, or if they only cover Kickstarter stuff and all they do is early release stuff and all that kind of stuff, and they don't actually follow through and do a normal review, or just anything out of the ordinary, anything you think that is overly played when it comes to a benefit, or that you're sensing is affecting their review copies. For instance, there was a company or a review group, a very popular one, that reviewed a board game. I'm not going to say what board game it is, but they reviewed a board game and they didn't like it. And then they gave an alternative at the very end to another board game that was kind of in the same area. I'll put it that way. But the one that they recommended was 3 to 4 to 5 times as expensive as the other one. And it just was obvious right at that moment to me how much they're not consumers at this point. How much they obviously just get sent these. And so as far as they're concerned, this is this because they got it for free on both. If you're not heavily invested in this, if I'm not still spending thousands of dollars on this stupid stuff, every single year, I lose that position. And you inherently do. If I were to make a game, I would start to lose my consumer perspective. It's just inherent how it is. Suddenly I would be thinking a little bit more like a company. No, it doesn't mean you can't keep that mindset. Of course not, especially if it's fundamental to who you are. But again, stuff like that, you just got to look at. If everything they get is pretty much free, then have they lost the sense of how much this stuff is actually costing us? Anyway, I didn't mean for this to go on so long. I apologize for that. But I think I've said everything I wanted to say in this video. If you have any questions, feel free to put a comment there. I promise to be as honest as I can, without just being rude to somebody or something like that. I'll play it by ear depending on the questions. I don't know what kind of questions you guys have, but hopefully I did a good job. Hopefully I didn't upset a whole bunch of people. If I upset somebody who's a creator, I would, instead of being upset at me, rethink or at least reflect a little bit on the benefit you provide to your viewers and whether or not you're actually benefiting them and doing them the service that they deserve. Then afterwards you can decide I'm a jerk or whatever, I guess. But seriously, if I mentioned something and it upset you, you might want to kind of rethink whether or not you're a consumer or you're pro-consumer, or you're helpful to consumers, or whether you're helpful to companies. Who are you helping? Are you helping companies or helping people? Because often you can't do both. It's not all the time. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I have for now. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And again, thank you so much to my patrons and YouTube members. Seriously, I know not everybody can do it. I can't do it to like everybody I watch on YouTube. I understand. But it certainly helps because I'm not getting money from any other place except my job and you guys. So it's almost like a PBS, like it's brought to you by you guys. So thank you so much for allowing me to be able to say what I want and how I feel without any fear of repercussions, at least not major financial ones. All right, guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.